Good morning. Welcome to February 23rd edition of Makers Movers Podcast. Hello, I'm your host, Todd. How are you? Did I double hello you? I think it did. Listen, it's still Medhead, man. It was a wild weekend. We're going to talk about that and how this weekend went. But today, first and foremost, I need to know who you are, where you're from, what's in your cup, what the weather is like in your area, and your five things. Five things that you are going to accomplish today. Today, what are we talking about? Today, we're keeping the Spiritwear Talks alive this month. And we're going to talk about how to sell for clubs, bands, and non-athletic groups. That's what we're talking about today. It's first time here, long time here. Go hit all the buttons, the like, the subscribe, the share. Sharing's caring, folks. It's free. You can go hit that share button. So's likes. Really helps push the page. So help out with that. Now, let's talk about stuff. First up, how am I sounding as far as volume? We switched mics. We switched stuff out because we're trying new things for tomorrow night. So trying the mic now for it. So we want to make sure that that's good. We'll see. We should be good to go with that. Last week, man, Wednesday after the show, I started feeling a little whatever. It was good. Thursday through the Friday. Friday, I worked as long as I could, and by 12:30, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Temp like 102.9. It was just messy. Meds, drugs. And then I kind of was out the rest of Friday into Saturday, and even with Corey, I don't really remember much of yesterday. So I was like, what did we do? Who did we talk to? What was going on? Like, is there anything important that I said yes to that I shouldn't have? And she said no. So, thankfully there were some things that she went ahead and handled for me that I don't remember, and she took care of, and really appreciated for Doc Corey and the Mexican pharmacy, because that, that brought me back. I feel about 75%, which is 100% better than what I was yesterday and the day before. But it was brutal on Friday. So I think I had some kind of stomach flu, something that was just not good. Back at it. If you get it, just rest. It was rest, water. My mix became, I don't know. I drink a lot anyway, not booze, water. Usually you'll drink, let's say I've got a 40 ounce tumbler, and I fill that probably 4 times a day. Probably went to 8 times over there, and then I was switching out between water, liquid IV, back and forth from it. Yeah, it was a long weekend. So I didn't do a lot of things that I wanted to do this weekend, because it was like I didn't want to open my eyes. So let's make sure all there with it. Should be checking comments to make sure that you can hear me, but usually anybody else would say, hey, we don't hear a word you're saying. So sound volume. Is sound volume good? Is it too low, too high? Is it like the porridge? Just right. Let me know. Angela, thank you so much for becoming a member. Gabriella, good morning, good afternoon to you. Morning, Renee, 21 with the wind chill 16. I'm over it, right? But the sun is trying to come out. It is shining here. Still cold. Water in the bottle, prepping for tea. Good morning, good afternoon to Gabriella. That's right. Making a pearl bracelet and coffee in cups. Cold sun outside. Yeah, I hate when it's sunny and cold out because it's deceiving. Not about that. What's up, Chuck? Good morning to you. Sunny but chilly Florida, 48 this morning. Better. I'm feeling way better. Not 100%, but man, I was down for the weekend. It was not good. Not good at all. But that last transition, like when which part? When it switches back and forth, when it goes from the intro to that part, that always comes louder, and we have it set that way to know, hey, show's getting ready to start type thing. Sample HTV, very nice. What are you sampling out there? Cold coffee. What? Coffee hot, weather cold. I got it right there. I know I did not agree to send anybody anything, because I did not. What's wild is I have not answered messages. I take that back. I haven't answered most messages. I'm sitting at just shy of 900 messages to go through from like Thursday through there, because I'm like, once I started feeling it on Thursday, I'm like, I'm not answering anything. If anybody that knows how to get a hold of me knows how to get a hold of me, then those were the decisions that were made, and it was just there. Hello, G. Welcome. You're up this morning. I see your schedule's throwing me off, G. Thanks for joining us here this morning. Morning, Linda, right? Well, we were worth a shot, right? 42 there in sunny Texas. 5 things. Edit photos, post photos online, order soccer uniforms, powerlifting photos, 3D print. Linda's got a busy day in there. Oh, yeah. You guys are getting hammered over there. Still some blizzard conditions there in Connecticut. Oof, oof, oof. All right. I'm gonna see. I gotta remember different places to cough because I had a mic up there, and now with a mic down here, that's gonna throw me off. So I'm gonna try my best not to. Ooh, what just moved? I grabbed a tab. And now I can't find you guys. Where are you guys at? Let's go back up here. There it is. Now I found you guys. Hey, look, there you guys are. All right. Before we get into what do we got tomorrow? You guys tomorrow. Make sure like and subscribe. Go check out tomorrow's video. In fact, I think I'm gonna grab the link and post it in here so that way everybody has it. We have giveaways tomorrow night. We have a big, super big announcement. Super big announcement that we're going to have tomorrow night. So you want to make sure that you tune in for that because there's going to be I feel a lot of excitement with it. And there's a lot of stress, and it's going to start up a new series of stuff that we do, and it's gonna. So we have all these other ands that's going to hear. So make sure to get in there, subscribe, check your things, do all that because we're doing that. We're giving away a cameo. That's cool. We're giving away prizes. We're giving away designs. We'll probably give away some flock templates. We're giving away all kinds of stuff. So you want to make sure to get in for that. That's tomorrow night's live, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But today, what are we getting into? Today, we're talking about how we're going to sell Spiritwear for people besides sports, right? If you only sell Spiritwear to athletics, you are leaving a lot of money just still sitting in that building. Band, choir, theater, robotics, FFA, student council, NHS, academic teams. These groups, what do they have? Members, families, events, budgets. They also have something that sport teams don't always have: year-round visibility. These programs, they perform, they travel, they compete, and they represent the school, constantly. Which means merch isn't just a season thing; it's an identity thing. And so we're going to talk about how you can sell Spiritwear to those non-athletic groups without sounding like you're trying to force sale, this strict sales model onto them. You're going to learn what to say, what to offer, and how to position your store so that club leaders feel like, you get it, and the parents feel an urgency that doesn't, feel like begging. So, number one, let's keep Spiritwear, but let's just reframe what it means for clubs. Now, you don't need to stop saying Spiritwear, but you definitely need to define it correctly for clubs. For athletics, Spiritwear often means game day gear. For clubs, Spiritwear is more like, uniform adjacent identity pieces. Something that members wear to rehearsals, to performances, to competitions, to community events, to show their support. On school days when they want to represent, and family and friends to do the same thing. When you lead with Spiritwear for clubs, you want to tie it to belonging and representation. Most clubs aren't trying to look tough. They're trying to look unified. They're trying to look official, and they're trying to look proud. So your pitch should make Spiritwear feel more like a tool that supports their program, with visibility, unity, and pride, while still being, a super easy fundraiser for them. Now, this matters because clubs are used to being overlooked, right? There's basketball, there's baseball, there's football, and then, the adjacent ones, softball, maybe in soccer, some things from there. But for the most part, you get down to them, they just get overlooked. When you talk about Spiritwear like it's a really serious part of their identity, you instantly differentiate yourself from decorators who only speak sports. And you are not changing your words, you're just changing the meaning and the angle. So, what are some examples of this? So here's a spoken a little example from and this is what we got. Hey, rerun re words are going to be tough for me, so we'll get through this. We run Spiritwear stores for school groups and for clubs. It's less game day and more like show up as a program. It helps your members look unified at events and gives families something that they can be proud to wear. We can keep it simple. One clean collection that fits your vibe, and we handle the ordering so you're not chasing sizes. All right. Another example is I do Spiritwear for band, choir, theater, the same way schools do athletics, but it's designed around your performances and your competitions. You get program pride without you collecting money or managing forms. If you tell me your next big date, we can build a store around it. So pretty simple. We're framing is that same way. We want to be able to, create the same energy for them that we do for sports. So for the action step for this, just add one sentence to your club pitch. For clubs, Spiritwear program identity gear for events and visibility, not just a fundraiser. Okay. For clubs, Spiritwear is program identity gear for events and visibility, not just a fundraiser. Number 2, let's sell a merch moment around events, not just a random store. Now, non-athletic groups, they don't always buy just because it's fall and it's time to buy. They buy because something's happening. Competition season, concert week, show weekend, a trip, a showcase, a fundraising banquet. These groups, they run on dates and moments, not your traditional sports seasons. So you don't need to pitch, hey, let's do a store. You pitch, hey, let's build a merch moment. Right? That means define, a defined ordered window tied to a date, a delivery promise tied to a milestone, and a reason to buy now. When you attach the store to event, you create urgency without discounts, and it makes it easier for leaders to promote because it feels relevant. This will also help, as at home apparel decorator, because it makes your production predictable. You can schedule a batch around the calendar instead of just accepting random one-offs. And those random one-offs oftentimes just seem to blow up your week. Having that event schedule, well, that creates structure. Structure is profit. So, some examples. You've got the spring concert coming up on April 18th. Perfect. Well, hey, let's run a 10-day Spiritwear store that closes March 20th so everybody can have gear before the concert week. I'll give you the promo graphics, and all you have to do is just post them. Guess what? We take care of the rest. Pretty simple, pretty easy, right? Now, example 2. So, hey, for robotics, the merch sells best when it's tied to a competition. If we open up the store 4 to 6 weeks before your tournament, parents buy because they want to represent. We'll close it with enough time for production so you're not stressed, and then I'm not rushed with it either. Seems pretty standard, right? Easy enough there. So for this, let's just pick one group and write down the next big date. Build your offer around it. 10-day store plus close date plus delivery date. Not too bad, right? Easy enough stuff there. Now, number 3 is let's build club collections. And what are those going to do? Well, those are going to match their culture, not traditional sports layouts. Now, I don't know about you, but we've ran into, a good handful of times where clubs, they didn't want their merch to be, a standard athletic template, right? They didn't want to look like the football team. They didn't want to look like the basketball team. They wanted something that fit their personality. Band is proud and classic. Theater, bold and expressive. Robotics, clean and modern. FFA, heritage and grit. If your designs don't match the culture, you might get some interest, but you might have some weak sales. So the play here is just to create a collection that feels intentional. You know, the designs here, maybe two strong design directions, one hero item, that, or one hero logo, something that is just really them and them specifically. And then you can mix in the other stuff there. Clubs don't need 40 options of logos. They just need the right options. And too many choices just make people hesitate and people stall. And when you have those decisions tightly down, that collection, it feels, curated specifically to them. And this is where you can justify, better pricing because, hey, the merch feels premium. It's just not some generic stuff they got in the bookstore. Your competition isn't other decorators. Your competition is, there's just too many choices. We'll just skip over this. You know what? This seems like a complicated fundraiser. No. We are making this for you, for them. All right. This is a culture fit merch items. And when you do culture fit merch items, you and them both win. So examples, for theater, like this, for theater, I'm not going to put the giant mascot on everything. We build collections that feel like the program, clean type, dynamic icon, and a hoodie that people actually want to wear outside of school. Hey, if you got artwork, send it all over and we'll use your artwork to create this. And then we'll send mock-ups so you can approve before everything even goes. All right, pretty simple. Now, for band, for band, we like to keep it classy. One front logo, option sleeve hit, back design for performances. All looks official and all looks unified without being overly loud if you want. And this, we'll make sure that the designs look good on your school colors. Hey, and stuff that people actually buy. We are selling them a way that they don't have to do anything except promote it and make money. So for this, we just need to create a collection hub for them. The 3 to 5 designs. Here's what it looks like on a hoodie, a t-shirt, a crew neck. That's it. Let's see what you like with it. And we just go from there. We'll use this standard across the board. For us, PC 55, PC 78. We use those in long sleeves. We use those for the sweatshirts, whether that's a hoodie, a crew neck, pocket one. Those are our core, and then we'll sprinkle in some other ones with everything. Here's the core. Here it is. We'll make it specific for you. Now, before we get into 4 and 5, let's check back in. I need to take a sip as I read through these. Let me hear your questions, comments, concerns. I could be way off base, totally on base. You tell me. You tell me what base am I on. All right. Dee, good morning to you. Lisa, good morning. Patrick, you're in, I promise you're in one of those 899. I have you on my list. I will get back to you. What's your day look like today, Patrick? Maybe I'll give you a call here. And Michael, do you sell machines or products? Yes, we do both. You can go to, let me see if I pull off here, right here, rhinestoneworld.com. You should be able to see it. Rhinestoneworld.com, where you can get your supplies. Equipment, if you are over in Greece, equipment, no. But materials, yes. Supplies, yes. Ooh. Susan, what happened to Matt? Just curious, long-time customer that has been on it. Matt sold me the company. I sold Corey and I the company in July. So we were going on month 7 now of owning it. It's been wild. It's been a wild journey. And Brian, 3 to 5 designs. It works most. 3 to 5 designs at most works best for us. And Brian right now is becoming, Brian, how long did it take you to find your niche? Like, you'd always been on board for band stuff. That was kind of your thing, but you really doubled down on it in the last 2 or 3 years, and it is paying off. Like, you're rocking and rolling with it. Hi, Patrick from Barb, and morning, Brian from Renee. And let's see. And is there a video that shows how to make a scatter with text using Design Winter for the All-Star group? I believe so. There is. There should be a couple videos in there for it. We'll have to ask Pilar to double check, but I'm pretty sure there are some in there. And give everyone the same generic hoodie across the entire country. Come on, everybody, right? Right? Give everybody the same one. That's what we got going on. Wrestling, good morning to you. Good morning there, Dee. Let's see. Good morning, Rebecca. 30 degrees in Georgia. I don't even know what we have here. It was cold taking the kids to school this morning. I'm going to look and see because I don't. It was cold. It was bright, but it was cold. Yeah. I'm going to say it was like 23. We'll see what it is right now. Oh, it wasn't even that. It feels like 5 out. That's why it was cold. It feels like 5 out here. Okay, back in this. Number 4. Let's sell the leader, whoever's in charge. Let's sell them on 0, right? 0. There's 0 for you. You know, well, what does that mean? Well, the decision maker for a lot of these clubs, it's not, the parents. It's the advisor, the director, the booster leader. And do you know what their main fear is? Work. They don't want to manage forms. They don't want to chase checks. They don't want to figure out distribution. They don't want to have to deal with complaints. If you can sell them on 0 admin, right? 0 admin, we handle it all. You are going to get that yes way faster. So, your pitch, it needs to, clearly explain what they do and what you do. Their job should be approve mockups, post the link, pick a delivery method. This is it. It's your job. Build a store, collect money, manage orders, produce, organize delivery. When they understand that they are not signing up for extra labor, they tend to relax. And this is where you can win. Because you can be personal and you can be responsive. A lot of those nationwide big vendors, they just dump the admin on the group, and so you can make the leader feel protected, and protected leaders promote harder. And what does that do? That drives sales. So some examples of this is, you set everything up and run it like a hands-off store for you. You just approve the designs. You share the link. We handle the rest. We handle the order payments, the production, and all the sorting. You won't be chasing anyone anymore. And parents won't be messaging you about sizes. We take all that from them. Let the coaches coach. Let the directors direct. Let the band leaders lead. Who am I missing for another one? I'm not sure. You can throw it in there. Who is the organization and what do they do? All right. Another example, my goal is that this feels like the easiest fundraiser that you're going to do all year long. No cash collection, no order forms, no spreadsheets. At the end, you're either going to get one bulk delivery to school in the pickup window where they get it, or we ship it to the families that ordered. Whatever is easiest for your group. So, action step for this is write your leader promise as one line. Approve plus post plus done. We handle the rest. Pretty simple, right? All right. Now, we will wrap this up. Number 5 is, we create a year-round pipeline by owning the group that everyone else ignores. And I think this is where, the biggest power move that you can do. Because let's face it, athletics is crowded. And most times, the clubs, they are wide open. They are on their own to figure it out. And that's because most decorators just don't pitch to them. And most national companies don't prioritize them unless they're huge. And that means you can become the default Spiritwear partner for all those overlooked groups in your area. And that is where the stable revenue comes from. So instead of, chasing one big sports store at a time, you build a pipeline, 2 clubs every month, that's it. 2 clubs per month every month. Clubs, well, those turn into repeats because they have annual events. fall competitions, winter concerts, spring showcases, end of year trips, senior gifts, alumni gear. And once you run one clean store that did good for them, caused them no issues, saved them a ton of pain and trouble, guess what you become? You become the person that they call next time. And you don't have to sell again. You just schedule it and go. And this is how you protect, your workload when you're doing this as a side gig, right? You can spread those launches across the year and still live living and dying by each sports season. You can plan production. You can plan content. You can plan cash flow. And when athletics are slow, clubs are still moving along. So, example of this. Hey, I'm building Spiritwear partnerships with groups that usually get overlooked. Band, theater, robotics, clubs, because they deserve the same support that athletics get too. If you got an event calendar, we can map out 2 or 3 merch drops across the school year so you're not scrambling when time comes. Pretty simple, right? Next one is most vendors only show up for sports seasons. We run school Spiritwear stores year-round for programs that travel, perform, and compete and represent the school when school's not always in session. If we run one successful store, we can schedule the next one right away and right away around your next big event. So action step for this is let's target a list of 20 groups in your area and let's commit to pitching 2 per week with an event-based offer. All right? Pretty simple. Now, to recap all this, here we go. We're going to call it Spiritwear, but let's define it for clubs as an identity geared tied to their visibility. Man, words are hard for me today. Let's tie stores to events so urgency is natural and predictable. Let's build culture fit collections instead of sports templates. Let's sell the zero admin to the leader before even worrying about anything else. And let's build a year-round pipeline by owning the groups others ignore. All right? Now, if you want more Spiritwear sales without fighting the most crowded market, stop competing where everyone yells the loudest. Clubs, bands, non-athletic groups, those are wide open lanes most time, especially for the at-home apparel decorator who can personalize, be fast, and be flexible. When you pitch around identity, when you pitch around events and culture fit designs and zero admin, you don't sound salesy. You sound like the obvious solution. So this week, can you pick one overlooked group, find their next date, and then just pitch them a store tied to that event? Now, that single move, that could turn into recurring sales the rest of the year. That's what we have for you here on the Makers and Movers podcast on this February 23rd edition. Now, come Wednesday, what are we talking about? We're going to talk about how we can turn that one team order into the whole school. So that's what we're going to talk about on Wednesday. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we get out of here and call it a day for you? Barb says, lots of clubs, obscure associations, events to pull from. Just need to search your area and check local Chamber of Commerce websites. Yeah, there are tons of things out there that we don't even think about it because, we're stuck in that school sports. Here's this. Lots of stuff we can do out there. All right. We're going to wrap this up for you. Remember, we do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure to go like, subscribe, share, do all the things of the things. Most importantly, interact. Leave the comments. Let me know. Yes, no, things I said you'd like, things I said you didn't like. Leave them in here. And tomorrow night, Tuesday with Todd, 7 p.m. Central. Lots of giveaways, so make sure to tune in for that. All right. Until next time, you guys have an amazing day. Peace, love, press on, and we will see you then.